Hello everyone, Hobbyist here, back at it again with another video. This time I'm going to give you a slight tour of the One Night Ultimate app that I mentioned in my One Night Ultimate series games. So, the app itself is honestly pretty good companion app, as it practically takes care of the job of the announcing for you, and does a really good job with making sure that you don't have to remember everything, or knowing exactly what to say whenever that role is called. So, to give you a tour of the app, I'm just going to start here on the starting menu here. So, right up here is the list of all the games that exist in the One Night Ultimate series. These are all the characters that are inside of One Night Ultimate Werewolf. These are the ones that are inside One Night Ultimate Daybreak. This is One Night Ultimate Vampire. This is One Night Ultimate Alien, which you do need this app in order to be able to effectively run One Night Ultimate Alien. Otherwise, you really don't have any options. If you're playing with a younger audience and you don't like the sound of lynching for small children, then it has everybody in One Night Ultimate supervillains as well, to where instead it's villains being captured instead of being killed. So all of those characters are there. Lastly, all of the One Night Ultimate bonus roles for all of the games also are in here. So that's the first thing that you kind of want to take into consideration. When it comes to deciding what characters that you do or don't want to play with, whether you're doing epic battles or you're just playing individual games, all you have to do is look at the roles that you want and tap whichever ones that you think your group are going to play with. At that point, all you got to do, just for this example, we'll go through one run through of one night with just these roles. The other cool thing about it, before we get truly started, is that if you come over here to your settings, you can edit, of course, the narration volume, but there's actually background music that you can play, to where not only is it thematically cool in regards to what it is that you're trying to do inside of One Night Ultimate Werewolf, but it's also a tool that you have in order to effectively disguise any card movements or anybody who's being loud. If you get this music playing over a set of Bluetooth speakers, then it can do a pretty effective job of covering the room. So you could pick any of these songs to kind of fit whatever the mood is. So we'll just go with crickets for our first time. You can also adjust the time that the game is going to last. The average rules dictate that it's only going to ever last 5 minutes during the day phase. So I'd say you just keep it at that. And if you need more time, if you're playing with a larger group and you think you need more time, like for me personally, if I were doing an epic battle with, say, 20 people, I would probably double it up to 10 minutes, to where it's still concise, to where they have to figure everything out in a certain time, but it's enough time to where people can do all sorts of things. So as a game master, this is a great tool to help you have. Of course, you can also have the app give out the 1-minute warnings that is left on the clock and the 30-second warnings before the game actually begins. Coming back here a little bit, when it comes to the roll timer, you can give people as much or as little time as you think that they'll be necessary. Pretty much the general rule of thumb is that whatever time you give to the simple rolls that exist in the game, it is going to, more times than not, you're going to want to give double the amount of time to the more complex rolls, like the doppelganger, for instance. So we'll just come back and we'll leave that alone. There's some other things too, to where you can turn off the lone wolf option, which all that the lone wolf option is just if you want the werewolves to still be able to look in the middle if there's no other werewolves in the game. And of course, the app will explain that. You can turn off the labels for all of the character roles if you're experienced and you already know what they are, and you could just tap on the pictures. There's also the move your card around slightly that you can add or take away to your game to pretty much just take away that extra step. I would generally keep this in if you have a lot of roles in your game that move and switch around cards. That way you don't necessarily know which one's which. There's expert mode to where it pretty much just goes right into only the important roles. It doesn't call out everybody, and it's just kind of your hard challenge for those really challenging veterans and people who've been playing the game over and over and over and over again. There's the verbose doppelganger, which pretty much is just for every time that the doppelganger looks at somebody, it'll list off all the names of the characters that the doppelganger can copy either immediately or at a later turn. And then the randomization is just the fact of the matter of, especially in One Night Ultimate Alien, where all the rolls and stuff and the ripples and chances all get edited. But not all of that is important. So we'll just come back here. We'll throw in the doppelganger real quick. We'll make it a 10-player game, just as an instance. And now, we'll just run through it one time. I'll explain once the app finishes the night phase, pretty much what you're looking at from that point going forward.
Everyone, close your eyes. Doppelganger, wake up and look at another player's card. You are now that role. If you viewed the Seer, Robber, Troublemaker, or Drunk card, do your action now. If you are now a minion, keep your eyes open, otherwise close them. Werewolves, stick out your thumb so the doppelganger minion can see who you are. Werewolves. Everyone, keep your eyes closed and reach out and move your card around slightly. Everyone, wake up.
At this point, pretty much, once it runs all the way through the night phase, there'll pretty much be the timer going. This will be the whole time that the day phase is going, and you'll pretty much just let the clock tick down. Whenever it gets to that 1 minute mark, it'll pretty much warn you about having 1 minute left on the timer. It'll warn you about when you have 30 seconds left. And then, of course, if people immediately assume that they know who it is that is either a werewolf, a vampire, alien, or if you're doing an epic battle against any of them and people are ready to immediately vote, all that you have to do is simply hit the Vote Now button at the top, and then the app will instruct the rest.
Time is up, everyone. 3, 2, 1, vote!
Then you'll be immediately brought back to the home screen. It's that simple, it's that easy, but here's a couple of other things that I want to show you guys real quick. Inside of the randomization area of One Night Ultimate app, this more so specifically applies to the Alien series. As you can come in, these are all the default settings of the probability of certain ripples happening. However, you can decide to edit and increase or decrease any of the possibilities of a certain ripple thing going to happen. So that's a way to kind of spice things up, make things different. Maybe you want to try out different ripples, so maybe you might distribute this none option that is at 20, and you might split it up against the vote for the app, the repeat a roll, or I am alien type of thing. Inside the oracles, you can modify it to where you can try for certain things to happen inside the app, to where that'll be something that's interesting for you to go off of. Inside the aliens, you can modify what it is that the aliens are able to do and the possibility of trying out different abilities. You can modify what the body snatcher does with the different probabilities. You could do the same for the Psychic, the Rascal, the Exposer, the Mortician with what cards he looks at, and you can even do it from the bonus rolls. You can even modify what the empath is going to be asked. But otherwise, I wouldn't really mess with this unless you're really an expert and you're playing with expert players, because that's the only way that you're going to switch things up on them. So that's your way of being a DM. Otherwise, with any other group of people that you play with, especially if you're introducing this to new people, I would just hit this reset button at the bottom if you're trying to do the usual way, so that way it's not too confusing for new players. Otherwise, you can add as many or as few rolls as you want. I've personally played with this app several times to where I know that if you stick every single roll that's in this roster, it will successfully put all of these rolls in the correct order. Granted, it's going to take a very long time to get through, but it's entirely possible. So yeah, go crazy with it. Have fun with the games that you have. Mix and match and customize any sort of roles and experiment. Go crazy. Otherwise, I thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.